Well, a big hello to everybody here, and thank you for having us. When I first heard about this and I said I'm going to come and talk to a bunch of entrepreneurs about health and fitness, I wondered what I was doing at this summit. But I just heard the panel that went before us, and I think they were absolutely brilliant. They touched upon a bunch of things, and I'd like to kind of get Amit's viewpoint on a bunch of these things as well. But let's break things down. I know we have a time limit, and I'm going to try and give you guys actionable points that you can actually use when you're out of here. Right? That's more important than us just talking about things for the next 20 minutes. I'll break this conversation down, Amit. I think for me, when I look at health and when I look at entrepreneurs, and technically I would consider myself an entrepreneur because we started our own company about 8 years back. When I look at wellness, I heard a term, I don't know whether you agree with it, but I heard a term recently. We went for a global event with Technogym, which is one of the biggest manufacturers of gym equipment in the world, and they've started using the word healthness. It's not wellness, it's healthness. It goes beyond just physical, mental. There's a lot of things that have to go right for you to feel a certain way, right? So when I look at nutrition, or I look at lifestyle, or I look at fitness, I look at a few actionable points. I look at one, the first thing that I look at, and I think that's very important from everyone's perspective, given all your busy lifestyles, is changing a lifestyle or changing a mindset, right? In India, unfortunately, we look at training and nutrition as a luxury. If we have the time, we'll do it. If my kids don't annoy me tonight, I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll go train. If I have some time from work, I'll go train. It's not a necessity, unfortunately, in India. And the same applies to nutrition. I'm in a bad mood, just give me whatever I can eat. Or I love pizza, or I love ice cream when I'm upset, so give that to me. Right? We don't think things through when we're kind of upset or we're in that mindset. So the first thing I'd kind of touch upon, and Amit, I would require you to kind of come in here as well, is lifestyle and mindset. And how do we change lifestyles? You're not going to get someone who does not want to train into a gym to train or to move. I don't look at training, I look at movement, which I think is more important. Move. How much do you actually move? And you can't do that till you change someone's mindset and you change the way they live their life in general, when they kind of start looking at wellness or healthness or fitness as just a necessity, something that they have to do, like brushing your teeth in the morning. You're not going to office without brushing your teeth. If you do, I feel bad for everyone else around you. But you're not going to do that, right? So we want kind of fitness to become like that, or eating a certain way to become like that. So how do we change that mindset? Any opinion?
Sure. So thank you for having me here. It's a complex question with some simple answers, really. I think the first thing that really helps, I think first thing to do is recognize change is hard. Right? I mean, we just think it's simple to say, I'll start tomorrow morning and I'll go to the gym 5 times a week, or I'll change my diet tomorrow. Or I think the first thing to do is change is very, very hard. And I know that's from personal experience. As I'm working with thousands of clients, change is hard. Right? So I think the first thing that really helps a lot of people is visualization. It's saying, okay, if I sleep on time tonight, what will my day look like tomorrow? If I don't sleep, if I am scrolling till 1 a.m. in the morning or doing something else, what will my day look like tomorrow? So trying to visualize that will provide some incentive to change. So I think visualization really helps. I think the second thing that's really powerful is saying, how do I break this down into smaller changes, right? Instead of trying to make one big whole change, can I make the big smaller changes and say, okay, I'm going to just start by starting to go to the gym. I'm not going to make a commitment to say, I'll do 1 hour, I'll do this. I'll just go. This first thing is getting up, I'll go to the gym, right? So that's the second thing is saying, break down the changes, and then it's more important to just get into that habit than actually achieving a lot with it in the first instance. So once you get into the habit of saying, okay, I'm getting up every morning and going, then the next step will come automatically. Third is setting realistic goals, right? A lot of people set very, very ambitious goals, and then they don't meet them in the beginning, and they just drop the whole thing off. That's the third thing that becomes very important. I think the fourth really is around saying, how do I not the right way of saying this. So once you've set realistic goals, how do I really celebrate and reward myself? Because actually it's great. If you went to the gym 5 times this week, it's fantastic. Now, even if it's just 10 minutes every time, that's still 5 times better than last week. So how do you reward yourself? Is there like a break day? Is there like a small cheat day? Actually, that provides some incentive. I think all those things sort of add up to saying you build these sort of habits over time. And then it takes time. And there are lots of questions about it takes 21 days to form a habit to 90 days. Nobody knows, right? But it just takes time to have change. It's effortful. We were talking about earlier, willpower is a limited supply, right? It's the same pool that you need willpower for work, for relationship, for health, for nutrition. You draw from the same pool. But it's also a muscle. So discipline is a muscle. So once you build it in one part, you build willpower in one part, then it also starts building other parts of your life, basically. So two things, it's limited. So if you use all of it up in one part of your life today, you don't have much of it left for other parts. But if you keep practicing consistently, you build it for all parts of your life. So if I go and get up and do a run every morning, I'll also be more disciplined at work after that. So it's actually spreads across us. So I think those are some of the ideas I thought I'd just share.
No, those were really helpful, but I'll just add one more thing to your list. And this has helped me a lot. Purpose. Why are you doing something? Why are we doing it, right? Everyone has their own reasons. I'd love to ask you guys what your reasons are. If how many of you all actually move and train? If you could put your hand up. It's not bad. I was expecting less. That's good. Hopefully next time I ask you that question, if this ever happens a year later, we'll have more hands up. But I think the one thing that's helped me, and just by background, I was a lawyer for 15 years. I was going to be partner in a law firm when I switched careers to start my own business in the wellness space. The most important thing for me, and I've been training since I was 13 years old, is I always had a reason to train. And my reason to train was not the way I looked. The way my body looked was not the reason I trained. For me, I have suffered through mental health issues, given I was in the corporate world in India. It is hard. There are long hours. I think the panel before us just spoke about it. And I think physical and mental health go hand in hand. You can't distinguish the two. I think they're both very important. And the one thing that kind of keeps me going every day, other than habit and discipline, is I have a why. Why am I doing this? Right? What is my why? For me, my why has been my mental health. It has nothing to do with the way my body looks. I love the way training or movement makes me feel. Right? And that is the only reason I keep going back every single day, again and again, even when I'm having a bad day, even when work's busy, even when my kids need me in the night, or I haven't slept enough, I will go back because it makes me feel good. It just gives me those 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And you know, this whole persona that people have, that if I don't have an hour or I don't have an hour and a half, then this is pointless. No, it's not. Like he said, 10 minutes is good enough. We're talking here, you're listening to us for 20 minutes. You can go to the gym for 10 minutes, right? You can move for 10 minutes. You could climb stairs instead of taking the lift. You could walk 500 meters instead of taking an Uber. There are reasons, there are ways you can kind of change things. So for me, I think the why or the purpose has really, really helped. The second thing I think is very, very important, and especially for you guys, and I touched upon it just now, is nutrition. Is the way you eat, because the way you eat is the way you fuel your body, and the way you fuel your body is going to say a lot about your mental state as well. Sugar drops from time to time because you've had a lot of junk or you've had a lot of sugar or refined sugar is a genuine problem. It is one of the reasons why you may snap at work. It is one of the reasons why you feel sleepy. It is one of the reasons why you may be yawning right now, right? I was there the other room when I saw the lunch, and I'm not trying to be mean. There was no protein there. I was looking for protein. There were eggs and there was a little bit of chicken, but there's no protein. And that's the problem we have in India, right? Protein is something that we look at, oh, do I need to have protein? Will my kidneys fail? Will I suffer? It's a macronutrient. You have protein, you have carbs, you have fat. In India, unfortunately, it's carbs and fat. We don't want protein because protein is going to make me fall sick. I'll have refined sugar, I'll have alcohol, I'll drink, I'll do everything else, but protein will make me fall sick. Right? And I'll give you a real-life example, and this is because a parent came to me once. I was in a gym, I was working out, and this little 18-year-old, 17-year-old, I can say little because I'm way above that, came to me and said, can you talk to my mother? And I was like, why do you want me to talk to your mother? It's like, she has a problem if I take a protein shake. Okay, let's talk to your mother. What's the problem there? I was like, does your mother have a problem when you have Diet Coke and Coca-Cola? No, it's totally fine. Your mom has a problem when you have ice cream every night? Nah, all good. Ruffles, chips, everything fine? 100%. So protein is the problem, right? When you put things in perspective like that, you realize why we kind of suffer. And India as a population, we're vegetarian dominant, am I right to say that? I think we are. A lot of people are vegetarian. So protein is a problem and we're not getting enough. So if you really want to look at numbers and you really want to look at your health, according to me, yes, the brain is very, very important. But one of your biggest positives or the best organ that you have in your body when it comes to longevity and life is muscle. And we don't work on our muscle. We only work on everything else. And how is that muscle fed? That muscle's fed with protein, right? That's just how muscle grows. So if you go back today, just look at yourself and ask yourself this question. Say I weigh 50 kilos, right? That's how much I weigh. A dream for a lot of people. But say I weigh 50 kilos. Am I getting at least 50 grams of protein a day? At least, minimum, 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. And that's the requirement to just survive, forget train. That's just the requirement to survive for bodily functions. You should be getting in 1.2 to 1.4 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Do that math. Go home, check, are you actually hitting those numbers on a daily basis? That's something that I would look at. Now, when it comes to food, why is it so difficult to stay away from sugar and alcohol?
I think context is very important. So I'll come, but let me just say one more thing about food and I'll come to that answer, right? I've spent a lot of time in the last 2 years with longevity clinics and a lot of work happening. And a lot of them are in Germany and Austria, so that's where a lot of this work is happening right now. And without exception, all of them talk about the importance of diet in long life, in mental health, in everything, right? And they talk about high inflammation foods. They talk about for them sugar is poison almost. So I won't go there. But all of these conversations, I think, they're very alien to us as a society, essentially. And the link between the gut and mental health, for example, is very well established now, right? What you eat will affect your brain, right? And what you drink will definitely affect your brain. So I think so now why is it so hard, right? I think one is it's easy. If access is easy, then consumption is easy. So if you have sugar at home, if you have ice cream in the fridge, you will eat it. If you have a bowl of apples on the table, you will eat fruit. Right? Again, apples are full of sugar, but it's better than eating fine sugar. So if you have a bowl of fruit, you eat that. But if you have ice cream in the fridge, that's what you want to eat, basically. Right? So access becomes one big factor to how easy or difficult it is. I think second is context, right? When context is important for all habits. What I mean by context is if there are certain triggers for eating unhealthy, right? Which means if I have a long week, then on the weekend I'm going to eat unhealthy. Or if this particular friend calls, then we're going to go out and eat junk. So whatever the context is, right? Then that context, if you're in that context, it's very hard to then avoid it, basically. That's the second thing. I think the third is really saying, how do I again visualize, and I keep going back to this, how do I visualize the impact of this long term? Right? Because it's very easy to do this short term thing. And it's very hard for people to do something. And it also gives short term pleasure. It releases hormones that give you short term pleasure, so it's very hard to then break the habit if you keep doing it. The only way to stop is to stop. And with food and with any substances, I keep saying that the only way to stop is stop. This idea of gradual reduction is very hard. Right? So the only way, if you want to stop access, don't go to context or avoid context that encourage that habit, stop access and just stop and try. And actually, the body very quickly gets used to it. Right? My weight fluctuates 15 kilos plus minus every 6. I know this from personal experience. When I want to, if I stop sugar, if I stop alcohol, if I sleep on time, I'm 15 kilos lighter in 6 months' time. That's the difference. So there's no idea of I will do less of it. It doesn't work. At least it doesn't work for me. So for something, and just do a few things. Don't go overboard. Don't stop everything. But just pick out the things that make the biggest difference in your life. I know desserts too. For desserts, I've cut them out completely. Makes a big difference on these. But I do everything else.
No, I like the point about accessibility, and this is something that we can look at when we have our own organizations. What's the food we serve in our organizations? what do we have in our vending machines? I was a lawyer. I swear, at 2 in the morning when you're sitting in office and you really want to eat something and the vending machine only has cake, chocolates, fizzy drinks, what option do you have left, right? You're going to go for whatever. For example, if I'm hungry right now, I'm really hungry, I will pick the first thing in front of me or that's available in my fridge. I will not wait half an hour for some food to come back. So it's about you and the choices you make in terms of accessibility. The second point I really like that you touched upon is, the peer pressure. This is my friend, he's called me, dude, you're not my friend if you don't drink with me tonight. I'm like, why are you my friend then in the first place, right? I don't want to drink. So the community you build around yourself is very important. The peers you have around yourself is very important. That's one of the reasons why when we started SoFit, our biggest attraction or the biggest thing we worked towards was creating a community of people that thought the same way. In India, to get people to think a certain way is very difficult. And to think in lines of let's get fit, let's work on our health, let's eat clean. I'll give you an example. We had a bunch of people who used to train with me on the turf. We used to do a camp together. And they would come and they trained for 3 months in a row. They were really good. They came to me 1 week before Diwali and like there was 3 of them were like, dude, we're screwed. All this work we've done over the next 10 days, gone. I was like, why is it gone? It's like, Diwali's coming up, bro. We have to drink. I'm like, who said you have to drink? Right? That, again, depends on the people you have around you. It's like, no, we have to have sweets. I said, did God say you have to have sweets? Did anyone come to you and say that sweets is what you need to eat so that you feel like you're doing a good job as far as I'm concerned? No, it's what we have made up. It's the pressure we put on our own peers and the pressure we feel from them. So the community you create around yourself is super important. And if you have the right people talking the right things, I believe it makes a massive difference to the way you eat and to the way you kind of live your life. So these are the 2 points that I think are important, accessibility as well as community. I'm going to come to one last point because I can see that clock ticking down and it gives me a lot of stress to look at it. The third thing, very, 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 very important in my book, recovery and sleep. I don't think people take it seriously. And I'll give you my example. Lawyer for 15 years, partner, almost a partner in a law firm, was going to be announced as a partner. We used to sleep 3 hours a night, maybe 2 hours a night. And we used to boast about it. Like, dude, I'll sleep when I die. We'll see what happens. But that is what leads to a lot of issues and a lot of complications. It reduces willpower. It makes me reach out to stuff I don't need. It makes me snappy. So I think, I don't know what the perfect number is, and maybe you have some sort of perfect number when it comes to sleep. But I think sleeping a good quality of 6 to 8 hours a night is a good thing. It's a must-have. It's also, just putting it out there, and this works really well when I say it, it's also your best fat burner. You want to burn fat? Sleep, because that's when the body does work. But your take on sleep?
I'm not very good at this one. So, but I know the science. I'm not very good at practicing it. Science is 7 to 9 hours actually between the hours of 10 to 7. Right? So the duration is as important as the timing. Right? There's a lot of people I know, at least where we live, who sleep at 2, 3 in the morning and wake up at 10, and that's quite unhealthy. So then I sleep 8 hours, but I sleep at 3. I wake up at 11. I go to work at 12. And because I can afford to, but that's still very unhealthy, basically. I think the sleep thing is so important to get right from a context perspective. I think sleep habits are all about context, right? What's happening in your bedroom, in terms of devices, in terms of stimulation, all of that leads to delayed sleep. How much blue light do you get exposed to in the hour before you sleep? How much caffeine do you have 3 hours before you sleep? All those things add to a good or bad night's sleep, basically. And all of those, the worst thing is taking your device to bed. I'm telling you today, like the biggest cause of poor sleep today is taking your device to bed, essentially. Right? For people who are otherwise physiologically healthy, the biggest cause of poor sleep is taking your device to bed. So don't take your device to bed. Put in a different room on a charger, and use an alarm clock, please. If you need an alarm clock, don't use the phone for an alarm clock, basically. I think just that one strategy will help you sleep tremendously, essentially.
Alarm clocks are very expensive nowadays, dude. You need your phone. No, I'm kidding. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think one last point that I'd leave you with, and I said this at the start, I think right? Movement. We're so used to sitting on our chairs. I don't know how many of y'all have gotten up and moved in the last 1 hour, 2 hours. I'm sitting here while I'm giving you a talk about movement, so that's kind of ironical. but I think movement is so important. I don't care whether you train. You don't want to go to the gym, you like dancing, go dance. You like doing Pilates, go do Pilates. You like yoga, do yoga. Move. You like playing a sport, play a sport. Play with your kids, right? In offices, in buildings, when you're entrepreneurs and you have your own offices, walk upstairs. Encourage your people to move. If they want to go train for 1 hour, don't discourage them. I know people who look at them like, why do you want to go to the gym for 1 hour? But if I want to go, it's good for me. I'll work better for you if I go to the gym. I used to work in a law firm in Singapore. It was called Linklaters. It was one of the best law firms in the world at that point in time. I think it still is. We were encouraged to go to the gym. We were told, please go, we will give you an hour off. Work a little longer in the night, it's fine, but please go and move. I was encouraged so that we could be more productive when we were in office. But that's my little parting note for you guys.
My parting note is, if you're struggling, seek help early. Especially from a therapist, psychiatrist, seek help early. Don't wait till things are really bad. It takes longer. It's harder to get you better if you come very late, which means if you're already stuck, and if you're thinking if you're struggling or not, that means you're struggling. So let me just make that easier for you. If you're thinking whether you need help or not, you've already crossed the boundary where you need help. So get help early, see your therapist, see a psychiatrist early. It's much easier, treatment's easier, shorter, safer, less side effects if you get treated early, essentially.
Thank you.